This is Dave Langston. I'm here with John Taylor. How you doing, John?
Hey, we're doing great today.
And you know, we did our last episode. We were talking about ice fishing,
Right.
and now we're moving on to some bigger species of fish.
Yeah, right now the bigger fish you want to pursue are steelhead. Idaho still run is full blown, going good. They're starting to move up the river. Should be good all the way through the end of April. Steelhead season's over April 30th, and we'll go until the river muddies up. But as the river muddies up, it can just keep going higher and higher, and they'll be clear up to Stanley's.
Right. Now, John, could you explain a little bit about what makes our steelhead so unique, other than any other steelhead in the United States?
Ours are in their DNA. They travel over 800 miles to come up here. You cannot go somewhere else and get a species of steelhead and come plant them here. They won't come back up here. Ours have that DNA in them to where they are programmed genetically to come all the way up here.
So they're going over dams and
over dams and everything else just to get up here. And even the ones that are to the hatchery are still off a wild stock. That's how they originally started out. So all our steelhead are unique to here, and they would not come back here if they were not born and raised here,
right?
Genetically speaking.
So as for a count, what's a really good year for steelhead as far as?
Well, this year they're
counts?
saying there's over 90,000 coming, which is a tremendous amount for around here. Some years you only get 10 or 15 or 20,000, and the limits reflect that. You can keep 5 steelhead a day now. I think only 2 can be over 32 inches, but most of the hatcheries you can't keep wild fish anyway. But and wild fish don't have, the hatchery fish have their last adipose fin clipped, so you can recognize them. If it's a wild fish, you can look at them and you got to let them go. But 5 steelhead, that's a lot. And if you want to catch and release for most of the day, if you can keep your first 4 fish, and then you can fish. But if you keep that fifth fish, you're done. No questions asked.
Right.
So it's best just to catch and release, but you can keep 2 or 3 or 4, whatever. You want to keep your 5 and go home, and go great. But for me, if I go all the way up there and if you get lucky enough to get into them, it'd be nice to keep on catching them.
Exactly. So let's just say, John, I'm new to the sport of steelheading.
Okay.
What do you got to do? What do I need to do if I come into Ace here to get set up?
Well, it depends if you're a spin fisherman or a casting fisherman. But basically, you want a nice 8.5 to 10-foot rod. Most of ours are going to be about an 8.5 medium action rod, a rod that goes like 8 to 12-pound test line, or even 10 to 20 is a good rod. You have the long rods; they have a lot softer feel. Steelhead are unlike many kind of fish. They don't really bite it and slam it; they'll just stop it, and it'll just pause for a second. So you got to have a rod that when it's coming down, you can feel that fish just stop. So get yourself a nice 8.5-foot medium action rod. We got Berkeley rods and Fenwicks and Loomis, or not Loomis, but Lamiglass. Any good little rod like that will take good care of you. You can catch them on smaller rods, but the longer rod you just have a lot better feel with it. You can use either a casting rod or a spinning rod. There's more of a learning curve on casting rods, but once you learn how to use them, it's a lot less effort. The bass fishermen out there, once they get used to a reel like this, they don't go back to spinning reels.
That's what I use.
So you can cast better, you can cover a lot more water, and you can feel the fish a whole lot better.
Right.
And we recommend they use like 10, 12, or 14-pound test line. The lighter line you use, you have a much better feel. You have to use less weight. It's just a lot better. On the other hand, when you get snagged, you want to get your gear back, so sometimes you like some big. When you get big moe, if you get a big wild fish come in, a B-run fish, there's not a lot of B-run fish on the salmon, but there are some, and a B-run fish has been in the water, in the ocean a year or 2 longer, so they're that much bigger. Some of those fish will be over 32 inches. But most of the fish on the salmon are going to be 22 to 30 inches.
And now you do have to buy a permit, I believe, right?
Yeah, buy a steelhead permit. In addition to your fishing license, it's good from January to December. If you fill it up, then you can buy another permit, and you can keep filling them up. Or even if you're going to catch and release, you still have to have a steelhead permit with you. As soon as you keep a fish in possession, you immediately have to punch your tag. So take yourself a little pair of scissors or something and a pencil right down in there the date you caught it, but notch that tag. That's extremely important. Okay. There's various things you can use. You can use this is kind of our version of a small rod here at this point in the game, but you kind of use a weight and rubber to let it bounce along, and then you have a corky or a spinning glow and help. This is a little exaggerated for our purpose, but there's lots of things you can use. Some people are catching them on just a plastic bead, toothpicked on their line. They use jigs. rubber worms. There's just all kinds of things you can use to attract those steelhead. And basically you have to get them in front of them. The steelhead will, mostly they're fairly low in the water column. They're going to be fairly close to the bottom. They'll move side to side maybe, and they might move down, but they'll never move up for your bait. So you need to basically hit them on the nose. You hit them on the nose, they're probably going to take it. And just basically your line stops. Like get used to a hole and just keep drifting through it, figure out where the snags are at, and then you'll get used to that feel. And if it doesn't feel right, set the hook.
Right.
It's a steelhead.
Right. Now, based on this, the whole principle of this right here
Right.
is if you get hung up, you're going to lose your weight,
you lose
and,
your
and
weight.
you get the rubber back.
Right. And this way your weight's bouncing down here, and this is up here and up here. This is going to float up to your bait, and your bait's going to be up there. And when you're out there fishing, watch people. If you're not catching fish and people next to you are catching fish, see how much line they got out here to where their weight is, or how much line they have down through the hook. Sometimes 12 or 14 inches of line, or 6 inches line, shorter or longer, makes a huge difference. Put your time in, it ebbs and it flows, but it can be really good. You can have an experience that we may not have forever due to dams and other things. But
Right.
take advantage of what we got now. It's your Idaho heritage, and you should go out there and enjoy. And the drive up, you see lots of wildlife. It's just a great all-around experience.
Yep, lots of whitetails, and last time I was there, were bighorns in a
Yeah,
row.
bighorns down there. You get down towards Shoup and down that way, you can see bighorns. You can see mountain goats at times. I hear there's some elk along the river down there. Sometimes go over whether you go through Ledo or go through Chalice. You can see lots of deer, lots of antelope, elk, various other animals. So it's a great experience, a great drive up there. Lots of people. People seem to get along pretty good. Common courtesy goes a long way.
Right. So if you need to get your steelhead fixed, come to Ace Hardware, talk to John or some of the other guys, and we'll
Dustin,
get you guys.
Jared, we're all fairly knowledgeable. We'll show up. We got the tubing, the corkies. We have all the things you need, and we'll definitely take care of your needs.
All right.
It's a great way to go.
All right. I'm sure on the next episode we'll probably be getting into trout fishing and fly fishing and yeah, and the whole works.
Yeah, and you can fly fish for steelhead too. That's what I'll be doing this week. But it's a different game. But we'll get into that another time. But fishing's good all around. The ice is beginning to melt. I know you die-hard ice fishermen are sad, but the rest of us are looking forward to doing some flow tubing and stuff here soon.
Exactly. We'll see you next episode.
Hey, thank you much.